What's up guys, Farhan here. Welcome back to another automotive review. This is the review of the Honda Monkey. By the way guys, before we begin review, public service announcement, don't forget to subscribe to us. Reason being, this will trigger the YouTube algorithm to push out this video and the channel to a wider audience. Now, the Honda Z series was originally produced as a children's ride in a Japanese amusement park. After further refinements and making it roadworthy, it was sold in Europe in 1964. The official monkey bike moniker was given because riding one, you simply look like a monkey riding it. And it looks really ridiculous in my personal opinion. And as a recreational mini motorcycle, the Z50A became a popular trail bike. The original Z series ended production due to emission control regulations in Japan. These days, the modern version that was first introduced in 2017 is based on Honda Chrome, but retaining the classic 70s look of the Z series and adopting the monkey moniker in its official name. Alright guys, so as usual, I'm going to start off with the riding posture and sit on this bike. As you can see, it's a very nice, comfortable riding position, I must say. Almost like I'm sitting on a Class 2B scooter. It's sitting upright, I'm not bending in at all. And very comfortable, I must say. And at the seat height of 77.6 cm, I'm 165, and as you can see, I'm flat-footed on the ground. Very easy for me. Note that this seat is actually an aftermarket seat, so the height may differ slightly. I wouldn't say much. And also, weight is at 104 kg wet, so I think particularly challenge riders wouldn't have any issues with the bike at all. And also take note that the bike is actually a single-seater. There's no spill-in full pack, and on the Honda website, it specifically says that it's for one passenger only, which is you're supposed to ride it by yourself. Its cousins, the Grom and the Dex, can have a pillion on it, surprisingly, even though it uses a similar engine and somewhat a similar platform. But certain riders, they've made modifications to accommodate a pillion, which I'm not sure is legal or not. I don't think it's legal, but do check with the authority on this. Also, when I'm sitting on it, right, I can get quite close to the exhaust over here. After riding it for quite a while, the exhaust is kind of hot, right? Be careful when you are sitting on this, especially when your leg is on the ground. Your thigh may touch the exhaust cover. It does get hot, but I don't think it's going to burn you. But still, be careful, and don't mind your thigh when your leg is down like this. Other than that, I think it's really comfortable, surprisingly, even though the bike is kind of small, kind of short. Particularly challenge riders would love the Honda Monkey, man. Alright guys, so up next we come to design. And despite being based and using a nearly identical platform of the Honda Chrome, or in this case in Asia, the MSX125, the Monkey is meant to pay homage to the Z series of the 70s and 80s. Thus, it has a retro-inspired design and outlook. Nicely compact and sized with rounded headlights, tail lights, signal indicators, teardrop fuel tank, finished in two-tone colors with a silver cheat line, adding on to the classic elements. And also to mention, the badging on the Honda Monkey features a 60s version of the Honda wing logo, with the HM meaning Honda motor, of course, which upon further research, the wing actually is inspired by the Greek goddess of victory, Nike. Yes, that Nike. The airbox here on the side is also quite prominent, and it features the text monkey in a retro 70s inspired font. Also, as you can see on the text over here, the M is a tongue-in-cheek reference to the primate that is named after. Front and rear fenders are finished in chrome, though, to give it that nice retro kind of feel, though I feel that this isn't metal, it's actually made of plastic. We got a single piece saddle seat over here, though this is an aftermarket seat. I'm not sure why the previous owners go and change it out, but the original seat, there's a white color piping at the sides over here, and it features the Honda text at the back, which adds on to the nice retro look of the Monkey. You got a high mounted exhaust to protect it from the elements and dirt when you're doing off-roading with it. And it has a very prominent exhaust cover as well, finished in chrome. You got cast alloy rims with a spoke look to add on to the retro look. 8 inches in front and the rear with semi-off-road tires. Originally, though, for this particular bike, it has been changed to a road tire. For suspension, we got a 31mm inverted fork that's adapted directly from the Grom, and dual shocks on the rear on the Monkey compared to the Grom, which has a monoshock instead. This adds on to the retro look of the Monkey. And finally, the size of the Monkey itself. As you can see, comparing it to myself, it's quite small. At 717 cm and a weight of 105, is meant to be carried around easily behind a camper van, and it's just mobile for you to bring around for those short camping trips or the racetrack, for example. But if you look at it strictly from a design perspective, ignoring the history and heritage of the Monkey, it's definitely a classic bike that's been downsized considerably. It just has these nice mini compact components that fits really well with its dimensions. It may seem laughable and weird to the average rider, but when you factor in and understand the history and heritage of what this bike is, it makes a lot of sense. And I personally feel that it takes a rider with such knowledge to really appreciate what a Monkey is. Alright guys, so up next we come to the cockpit and we start off with the handlebar. And of course the handlebar is a naked handlebar, finished in chrome, giving that retro kind of look. Yeah, it's very high, almost like 8 bars on a Harley. But because of the bike's short frame, such handlebars is to accommodate to a normal riding position for the average rider, and I don't really need to lean in. Pretty normal riding position, almost like you're riding a scooter. Mirrors also rounded to give off that nice retro look and finish in chrome as well, adding on to that retro inspired look. For the handlebar controls, if you have ridden a Honda before, it's the typical parts bin Honda riding controls, very similar to basic Honda bikes. To the left over here we got the high beam, low beam horn signal indicators, and to right over here we got the engine kill switch and starter. It's a basic machine, it is what it is, there's nothing much for you to control. Up next we come to the gauge cluster. Turning it on, it's a round LCD display with a nice chrome finish surrounding the display. When you turn on, the bike winks at you, almost like eyes. Interesting. It reminds me of the Kimco dollar as well. Got 2 buttons, set and select over here. We'll come to that in a bit. One of the things that I find kind of irritating, the display is kind of small, so when I'm looking down, glancing at it, you cannot really see it, especially on a bright sunny day like this. On the top over here, we got the fuel gauge, the speedometer, and the odometer, in which the mileage on this is very little. 13,028 mileage on a 2018 Honda Monkey. So this thing hasn't been ridden a lot, and the owner, who chooses to be anonymous, tell me that he has been sitting in the car park for quite some time before he bought the bike. Pretty interesting history on this particular Monkey. So pressing the select button, you can toggle to the odometer, trip A, trip B, and back to the odometer. And below that we got 4 warning lights, high beam, signal, check engine light, and neutral. So up next we come to the engine, mechanics, and fuel. An engine is a Euro 3 compliant 124cc air-cooled single cylinder 4-stroke 2-valve SOHC, putting out about 9 horsepower. Transmission is a 4-speed manual. For 2022 models and above, the transmission was upgraded to a 5-speed with better performance and higher top speed, and is also Euro 5 compliant. Finished in grey colour, its engine is shared with the Grom, Trail, Super Cup and Drax, though the respective transmission may differ from a 4-speed semi-automatic or manual. Now, the engine is probably one of Honda's most famous and plagiarized engines. It's been reproduced in China, particularly the Lifan brand, and used in a variety of bikes manufactured there, both manufactured under license and without. Many riders have done parts and engine swaps to their machines, and both engines seems to be compatible with each other, and particularly riders from third world countries seeking for cheaper replacement parts. Fuel tank is 5.6 litres with a projected fuel consumption of 1.5 litres per 100 kilometers, which is very fuel saving, I must say. As with a mini bike, it's expected that such a machine would be fairly basic. Yeah, some of the technologies include full LED lighting all around, LCD gauge cluster, And finally, it uses a programmed fuel injection fuel system to save fuel and give the Monkey its great fuel economy. For 2022 models and above, a IMU controller ABS is standard. This particular bike is manufactured in 2018, thus it doesn't have ABS. Okay guys, so horn check for the Monkey. Okay, for your info, the horn on this has been upgraded. It's very loud, I must say. So I'm not really sure how the stock horn sounds like, but I presume that the previous owners may have changed it because the original stock horn is not that loud lah. So yeah, it's pretty loud. It's pretty loud. But this, take note that this is not the original stock horn on this. I'm pleasantly surprised, I must say. Over the years, there have been lots of color choices for the Monkey, but for this review, we're just going to concentrate on the 2018 model. So this color that I'm reviewing right now, this is called the Pearl Nebula Red. We got banana yellow and pearl shining black. But my favorite, however, is the 2020 model color, which is the pearl glittering blue. So up next we come to price. And according to the owner, who wishes to remain anonymous, he bought this bike for around $8,000. So first registered in 2018, so you guys do your math. There's no official source from Boonseo Singapore on the machine price, but the machine price for both the trail and the decks is 8,300. So I reckon that the Monkey should be in similar price ranges as well. In Malaysia, the machine price is 13,999. But unfortunately in Malaysia or in the Johor area, I don't really see riders riding around in a Monkey, but in Singapore also it's quite rare. Maybe it is available in Malaysia, but we just don't see it. But I've had like riders stopping next to me, asking me about this bike. At a gas station when I was pumping gas, there was one rider who looked at it from far and admiring it. They were asking about this bike and sharing with me on how they like the bike. Right guys, so welcome back to the city of Badini, and it's a very hot day today. Very stifling, especially when you're wearing this riding gear. And of course, it's time for the riding review of the Honda Monkey. Let me illustrate this once again. This is the 2018 version. In 2022, the Monkey received huge upgrade from a 4-speed to a 5-speed, touted to have better acceleration, higher top speed, and just an overall improvement in performance. So I'm still going to compare this with some of the other bikes that I've ridden. Of course, let's hop on it. Okay. When I'm sitting on it for the very first time, I have to say, it feels like a toy. The way you're sitting on it, just the way the bike feel in general, but as I got a hang of it after riding it for a few days, it feels like I'm riding a small class 2B scooter, particularly the Kymco Dollar and maybe even Vespa or Lambretta scooters, because it just feels like I'm riding a scooter, my legs folded in. And yeah, the difference is that there's no tank on the scooter, but the Monkey has a tank, so I can grip my legs on the tank. And handling wise, it's pretty awesome as well. So it's not really that ridiculous to be riding a Monkey lah. Okay, so turning it on, uses a key. You can see it blinks at you. Really reminds me of the Kymco Dollar. And we got the IU unit over here, which looks pretty ridiculous on this bike, because when it's on a normal size motorcycle, the IU unit doesn't stand out, but on the Monkey, the IU unit really stands out, and it looks like an ugly piece of brick that's on the bike lah. Okay, so starting her up, starter. Surprisingly, the exhaust note on this is really deep and bassy. Yeah, so it has a really nice sounding exhaust note, I must say. And it's loud too. Clutch in, gear 1, off we go. So once again, this is the 2018 model. It features a 4-speed manual transmission. I don't know how it would differ compared to the 2022 version of the Monkey, but to me this is already good enough. I mean, how fast you want to go on a Monkey, right? It's only 135cc. And it's just a nice handling, nimble, agile machine. Very easy for you to adapt. The handling is somewhat similar to the Grom, given that they share the same engine, the same chassis and all that. But the differing feature of the Monkey and the Grom is that the Monkey features a dual rear suspension setup as opposed to the Grom. But there isn't much difference in my personal opinion. And the suspension on this feels pretty decent, though you can still feel every bump and road imperfection on the road, but it does absorb a considerable amount of impact when you're going through a rough road or road perfection and all that, and humps especially, given that the Monkey is also able to do off-road riding or track riding in general. Woo! I have to say that it's a fun little bike to ride on. City riding especially, the Monkey really handles great in city situations, taking in slow speeds, corners. The acceleration is pretty decent, I must say. Comparing it to the PG1, the Monkey is so much better. And I've even had a chance to test out the Trail 125, which uses a 4-speed semi-automatic. The performance is pretty awesome as well. Very similar, I would say, to the Monkey. Even though they share the same engine, it may look crazy to be riding a Monkey. It's just a ridiculously small machine and impractical. But when I got to know about this bike, its history, its heritage, what this bike means within the biker scene itself, the Monkey has its purpose as amusement park ride for children. And till this day, young kids as young as 8 or 9 in the US especially, their first motorcycle is a Monkey. Of course, the reason being is that this bike is small and young children are able to hop on it and ride it easily. And the reputation of the Monkey seems to grow all these years, with it being a trail bike that you can bring in the back of your camper van or even tow it, and then after that at a campsite you just ride to the river or somewhere in the jungle trails. And it's not really that ridiculous given that this bike shares the same engine as the Honda Super Cup, which is a right-sized motorcycle for an adult male, I would say. It's also one of the few bikes that I've always wanted to get my hands on for a review, together with the Trail and the Dex. I hope that I get a chance to review those two bikes and see how those perform. And both of them completely different configurations. Like Trail 125 seems to be an underbone, while the Monkey itself is a proper motorcycle with a manual transmission. So even though I say the acceleration is pretty decent, it's not a fast bike, but I think in tight spaces, in very dense urban areas, the Monkey is going to do well. I mean, it's a popular machine in Europe. You can park it in some street corner easily. It takes a fraction of the garage space. But in the US especially, the Monkey plays a really huge role, especially for families who like to go camping. But let's talk about the Monkey's role in Singapore. Given that motorbikes in Singapore, they are so expensive, especially since our licenses are harder to earn over there, and riders tend to max out the CC on whatever license they have attained, especially for the Class 2B and 2A. Singaporean riders tend to want something that's practical. For the owner, he himself bought the Monkey as a spare machine, so it's not a really popular machine in Singapore. And usually riders who are riding it, the Monkey is their spare machine, or really they are enthusiasts But another group of riders that I would think the Monkey is suited for is lady riders. In recent months, the Papio has gained a lot of popularity within the riding community and very popular among the ladies So Honda, Bunsil Singapore, they've promoted all these mini bikes very heavily, and I think they should capture the lady rider market given that there's a growing population of lady riders, and they want something that's easy for them, vertically challenge friendly, light as well, and also convenient and easy. So I think the Monkey is very much suited for them. But given on how popular the Papio is, and the Papio is just that cute little half-flat sports machine which has this neo-classic retro kind of 90s sports bike look, especially since it came out. I've been riding this bike for a few days, and I've just gotten a lot of stares from fellow riders. At the traffic light, a couple of times people actually have stopped next to me and asked me, what's this bike? I think you're riding a really awesome machine, what a cool bike. And if you're comparing it with the Cockpit in Malaysia, the engine is somewhat similar, with all the underbones, the 135cc's. We got some regulators ahead of us, so yeah, I can really feel every bump and every perfection. Suspension is pretty decent, I would say. I wouldn't say it's good, just decent, but still it does exert much of the impact. And where was I again? Oh yeah, once again, it's really a eye-catching machine. I think this is due to the bike's size and just the way it looks.
but it's not really that far from Underbone, you know. It's just that I think the size of it makes it eye-catching, yeah. And also with the Monkey's history, everywhere in the world people know what this bike is, and it's that history, that lore, that probably an adult rider who grew up as a child riding this bike at the backyard, they want a Monkey just to relive their childhood days. So city riding, no issue. The Monkey is definitely suited for tight urban spaces and ridings. It does get intimidating when you're riding next to a heavy vehicle. In the highway, I don't think is where you can comfortably ride, I feel. Though it is able to keep up with the highway speeds, but I will reckon that you'll stay on the shoulder lah, rather than out there on the first lane or last lane. But the top speed I've tried on this is like 105, and yeah, surprisingly it can keep up with highway traffic lah. It's just that today is a bit busy, so I don't dare to go out on the road. But 105, yeah, no problem, but it takes a while to get up to speed. Acceleration, low to mid range, pretty decent I would say, for a class 2B at least. Okay lah, so we try now lah, we're at 90 now, 97, 98, woohoo, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, not too bad lah. And it stays at 105 and 106, 107, yeah, we hit 107. Yeah, not too bad. And maybe the newer engine, which has the 5-speed transmission, you can probably go much faster than this. But yeah, the Monkey is just nice, nimble, easy little machine, coupled with its history, its heritage. It's a great machine lah. Maybe as a second bike for that weekend ride in the city, in urban area. But in Singapore, given that motorcycles are expensive, right, I would think that it's for a rider who is really challenged, wants something that is easy for them to handle. Probably a Monkey will be the best riding companion, and perhaps a rider who also appreciates what a Monkey is lah. And I would classify this I would classify this as an enthusiast bike, because it's quite uncommon to see on the road. A nimble, agile, easy machine with great fuel consumption, easy maintenance as well, and cheap to maintain, I would reckon. So those are some of the things that maybe you can take note lah if you want to consider Monkey lah. Especially Bonsil, they're bringing in the Monkey soon, along with the Drax, the Trail, and the Grom as well. Do take your pick on which mini bike lah.
Born out of a prototype from a children's amusement park in the 60s, the Monkey has the history and heritage to back itself up. It was the first bike for many riders back in the day, and its purpose as a recreational mini trail, both on and off the road, has only extended the Monkey's lore and reputation. Doing my research of this bike, among the reasons that riders give to own a Monkey, to have fun is probably the most common answer. It doesn't need a purpose or a reason to want a Monkey. And as for Singaporean riders who demand practicality in a machine, the Monkey is definitely not for you. But as a spare bike, why not? Easy to navigate in the heavy urban streets, vertically challenge friendly, with great fuel economy. Hell, you can even bring it up to Malaysia, ride in the trails, or do stunts with it. And yeah, ride hard, ride fast. For me personally, I've had fun with the Monkey. It really embodies the term riding fast with a slow bike. It's an easy machine that takes away all the hassles of riding and daily commuting. But for me, I'll choose the Grom over the Monkey from a practical standpoint. So once again, huge thanks to the owner who has wanted to remain anonymous. Thank you so much for loaning me this bike for the review. It's one of the few bikes that I've had my list on to review for some time already lah. And glad to have done the Monkey. So yeah, that's it for the vlog, and we'll see you guys in the next one.